All right. So you see this? This is skin tone. This is skin tone in shadow. This is skin tone in light. Rita, tell me about skin tones.
Well, honestly, skin tones are the same as any other tones of anything. In my viewpoint, it all depends on the light source. Like you see my face, I have this nice selfie light. So I'm evenly lit from the front. I'm going to show you today how you can handle skin tones that are lit more dramatically. Specifically in sunlight, we have bright sunlight on skin tones and shadows. Get a lot of questions from people about how to deal with that. Some artists or some people, they just see skin tones as like from a snapshot or from a school photo or something, and it's all lit all evenly. And so they're thinking beige and peach and the usual types of tan colors. But what I'm going to go into today is to show you how you can depict realistic skin tones a little bit, we might think with unconventional colors.
Oh, I like that.
Because when sunlight falls on anything, really, I've been painting a lot of subjects in sunlight over the past years, and you'll have the color of the light, the temperature of the light. Sunlight is very warm, so where you see the parts of the face that are in the sunlight, they're going to be lighter, of course, and they're also going to be warmer. And then the shadowed parts of the face are going to be cooler and darker. And you'll rarely see me use any typical browns in this demo.
Okay.
I'm going to be using kind of unconventional colors you might want to think about. Wouldn't typically think about being as skin, but it's going to work.
All right.
And I'm going to be working on this this portrait.
Okay, good. So and I struggle with skin tones. I got to tell you, sometimes it's like I tell myself, well, that should be blue because it's in shadow. Then I put blue on it, doesn't work. And then I tell myself it should be brown, and then that doesn't work. So it'll be interesting to do this. Now, Rita is going to do this in pastel today, but what she's teaching you will apply to any medium that you're painting in, whether it's watercolor, oil, gouache, acrylic. The principles are going to be the same. So let's get this show officially started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Our guest today is Rita Kirkman. She's just down the road from me. She's a Texan. I'm a Texan. Woohoo! Hook 'em horns. Actually, no, my daughter goes to Baylor, so it's like they have a different thing they do there. She's graduating on Saturday. We're pretty excited about that. I'll actually stop spending money for a change. And Rita's work is incredible. You want to see it? Look at this. Look at that. Now, I wish I could paint like that. That's pretty incredible. And again, pretty incredible. So that's cool. So if you want to learn how she does these kind of skin tones, you're in the right place. We're here every weekday at 12 noon. And on Mondays, we do marketing. On Fridays, we do feedback. And during the week, in the middle of the week like this, we do guest artists. And our guest today is Rita Kirkman. So Rita, take it away.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me on. This is going to be fun. Okay, today I'm going to be working on this photo here. And I have this portrait partially done. Technically, this is what I call my eternal demo. It's what I put up at art festivals to show that I'm working on something, but I don't actually work on it. Today, I thought this would be a good chance to start working on these skin tones, because what I have here is I have it underpainted already. I like to underpaint with some pastel primers in these warm tones, a gold tone and a terracotta tone. So this right here, I'm doing this with my finger because there's no pastel right there yet.
What was it you put on there?
It's like an acrylic-based pastel primer.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, there are a couple of different brands, but I use these two tones, the gold tone and a terracotta tone. I kind of blend them together a little bit. So I have a little bit of a toned monochromatic underpainting here on the face. And I start with these warm tones. So a lot of the pastel colors you'll see me put on here are going to be cooler, which is something that I really enjoy doing on the warm underpainting, is adding the cool colors that kind of interact with each other in a neat way. But the shadow tones are cooler in a face. Of course, with the sunlight has warm light on it. And so all these shadows, which is the primary large percentage of her face here, is in shadow. So I'm going to be concentrating mostly on that. And so to get started here, I'm going to start with a kind of a dark reddish violety brown. This is one of my favorite darks. And I'm just going to be establishing some of these darkest parts to start with. And how long do I have here, Eric? About 40 minutes or so? So we should have plenty of time. I should have plenty of time to get into some interesting parts and to make good progress on this. So this is just getting kind of a basic dark tone into these areas. I don't like to get too much detail at the beginning because I'm going to be working up to that as I go.
So are you trying to get a sharp edge there or trying to get it really soft?
I'm not looking at too much detail right now. Like I'm not going to, for instance, I'm not going to be painting eyelashes on her. Right now I'm trying to kind of look for the tones. Like here's a little bit of a darker shadow that's on the upper part of her cheek because the light is bouncing up from below. So the upper part of her cheek is shadowed. So I'm going in with this same dark brown, but I'm working really lightly with it to glaze in a little bit of tone here. I'll be going over that with another color. I don't want her to look like she's got black eyes. But I'll be going over with another color. I'm seeing in my photo that it's kind of almost a violety, bluish sort of color up there, but not very intense. Like Eric, you said you want to put blue in shadows. Well, that is actually close to what you can do with shadows because blue is the coldest color. So in order to cool off areas, cool off the shadowed parts of her face, I'll be using colors that contain blue. I won't be using blue itself, but I'll be using colors that contain blue. And a lot of times I think of that as purples and greens, which you might think purple and green. And
I like purple and green.
Purples and greens work so well. Now this is kind of a brown, but it's a reddish kind of brown. I almost think of it as almost a purpley brown. Definitely, I wouldn't think of this as a skin tone brown. Well, some skin tones are this brown, but not this one. Okay, so there's my darkest bits. Maybe I can get a little hint of a nostril there, maybe. All right, there are my darkest parts. Now I'm going to be thinking of what colors do I see in here. And one of the things about pastel, by the way, is the best way to apply it is dark to light. So whenever you have layers of color anywhere, you want the darkest colors underneath and then the slightly lighter tones glazed on top or layered on top. That's the best way, one of the best ways to avoid getting muddy. So I'm going to be looking for here a violet. Here's a kind of a fuchsia color. Actually, I see that in there too. So this
yummy.
is like a fuchsia pink color. And I'm actually seeing that in her cheeks. I'm going to test this out here. Oh yeah, that's nice. I'm going to glaze it on top of that shadow I just put on. And I'm also, I tend to go back and forth. Here's a little bit more of this dark color.
You're being very light with it. Diane 𝗧𝗪𝗁𝗍𝗪, I'm probably messing it up. Sorry, Diane. Says, talk about the acrylic base and what is your surface?
Oh yeah, my surface here is gator board. You kind of see the edge of it there.
Yeah.
It's a board that's similar to foam board, but not. It's more expensive than foam board, but the benefit of it is that it's completely rigid. It's not gonna bend or warp when you prime it. So that's one of the reasons I like gator board. So it starts off really smooth, like you can kind of see the back side is white. Both sides are white. So when I prime it, prime it with this gold color first. That's like a single layer. I start with that, and then I get my drawing on, and then I continue my underpainting with more of the gold color and some of this terracotta color until I have a good value scaled underpainting built up. And the primers have pumice in them, so they're gritty, and that holds the pastel really nicely. Very similar to a lot of the sanded surfaces that are out there for pastel. So also notice when I blend, this is my blending technique. I don't go in there with a finger and do this. I just tap a little bit very gently to soften up some lines. That's all I'm doing. And sometimes I don't blend at all. I only blend if I really think something needs to be a little softer than how I've laid it on. In fact, I think sometimes the older I get, the worse I get at target practice, so to speak. Targeting where I want my colors on the board sometimes gets a little challenging. But I'm putting this color also on these lips, not because it's exactly the right color for these lips, but because it's a really good value for the lips. And I'll probably put in a little hint of something redder in there also before I'm done. Okay, so I'm going back and forth now with these two colors that I've been working with. I'm seeing something a little bit darker right here. And then I'm going to tone it with this pink. See this pink kind of here, a little bit right here. So I blend very lightly because I really like these warm tones that are underneath. And if possible, I want to see if I can let some of those play a part in the mixture. So, you know, like why make such an intricate, detailed underpainting if I'm not going to let any of it show? So that's always my goal. Sometimes when I paint, my underpainting does get covered up, but yeah, whatever. Sometimes that happens. But my goal is always to let parts of it speak through. Okay, so this looks like it might be enough of this particular value of fuchsia color. And now I'm going to look here and here, look from my photo to my painting and think, what else do I need now? What is my next color? Something that's not quite so purpley. I do kind of see something a little bit greenish. Greenish compared to what I have here. What I have here is very warm. It's still got a lot of those reds, terracotta, orangey sort of colors in there. So this is actually a mid-toned, a dark mid-toned sort of green color. Almost like an army green. I think I might have some of that in the hair right there already. And I think it's about the right value for some of this that I'm seeing around the eyes. And a little bit of this down here. And still I'm working very lightly. I'm kind of glazing. So I'm letting this green optically mix with the colors that are under it. I'm kind of seeing something bouncing around up here, some light coming in, probably bouncing. The coolness of her hat is kind of a dark grayish, greenish, gray or black or something. So it's a fairly cool as a color. I think some of that is bouncing back in and creating this greenish tone along the side of her face here. Reflected light, man, that's a whole nother topic. I find it fascinating though. You know what else? I think, now you wouldn't think of putting green as the whites of the eyes, but I think this is just about the right value. I'm toning this part of the underpainting here that was just the yellow gold of the underpainting. The whites of her eyes are not that yellow gold color. They're cooler than that. So I'm toning them with a bit of this green. You wouldn't think that would work, but it's cooled them off and it's starting to get it to where I want it. At this point, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a hard pastel black and just throw in a bit more of the value contrast that I want in these eyes. I like to kind of work all over a painting, all over an image. I don't just finish one section before I go on to the next. I kind of like to build up my whole painting all over before any one part is finished. I find that's an easier way of keeping track of how the whole thing is going and how much it really needs. So there's a little bit more contrast in there. Now you can kind of see her pupils and a little hint of her eyes being brown. There. Well, I've got this dark color here. Let me bring some of this hair in over here because she doesn't have so much cheek showing. See, I'm just using the side edge of the stick here to blend this down. Some of this is dark.
Hello, Nova Scotia. Hello, France. Tell us where you're watching from.
I'm going to get a little bit more of this dark brown, this dark reddish brown along the edge here of the hair. Trying to darken that little shadow that's behind her cheek.
Rita, JP is asking, did you use a grid to transfer the picture over to your surface?
I actually freehanded this one with no grid.
Wow.
This one actually started as a demo in a workshop like years ago. People wanted to see me do a portrait. So I started it off just from the photo. And I do see I got the face just a little longer than it is. But, oh well. Sometimes I do grid a portrait if I'm working on something that's more important and I really want to get the likeness. I'll use a grid. It's just more time consuming. I must prefer freehanding because I usually will see what I've got wrong. If I had had more time when I was working on this particular one, I would have made corrections to the drawing before starting the underpainting. But I think, let me see, maybe there's a color I can put, try this. This is another purpley color, like a dark mid-tone purple. Might be about right. I think the bottom of her chin would be about here. And I can use maybe this green again for this part of the shirt over here. And I can kind of carve up her chin with the background. So I just kind of subtly brought her chin up a little bit. Some more shadow over here. then there'd be another tone down here that is slightly cooler than what that underpainting is showing. Let's see. Something, maybe something like this. Pink. Perhaps this pink and this green together. The pink is a little bit of a lighter value. This green will cool off that terracotta. Oh, that's nice. See how that just cooled it off just a tiny bit down there? Starting to bring that chin up. So that was the main part of the drawing that bugged me, was that I thought I got her chin too big. Might have gotten her nose just a little long also. This lip might be a little big. I don't know. Little tiny things can be fixed as you're pasteling. Just tweaked, pushed this way or that way, tweaked a little bit. All right, let's see. There's that reflected light bouncing up onto her upper lid and the lower lid that's just fascinating. And it's not that yellowy. It is kind of yellowy compared to the rest of her shadowed face, but it is definitely a lot cooler than that. So I think what I'm going to try is, I don't know if that's too light. I tend to try my colors on my painting. This is kind of a really grayed down yellow-green, very grayed. I'm testing it out here to see if it's not too light. Might be kind of light, I don't know. This might be a good value for the final lightest part of that. But if there's something underneath there, which there is, I want to get that in first because I want to layer dark to light. So I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm also going to look for something that is maybe a little bit redder. I tend to not, I never really could get into the habit of pre-selecting my palette. I'm always just wanting to test out my colors on the painting. I don't know, let me try this one. This might be what you would call a more traditional portrait color. It's kind of a sandy, sort of peachy kind of color, but I am sort of seeing that on the upper lid here, lower lid. Another thing that I'm used to working with, I'm used to working on these warm toned underpaintings, is that I'm used to having the warm colors already in there. And so a lot of times what I'm looking for is just another color that's going to blend with my warm tone and create the cooler temperature that I'm looking for. And one of the things about this terracotta color that I use in here is it's so incredibly warm that almost anything that goes on top of it is going to look cooler. So I think this is kind of working here. It's coming off as a cooler sort of color, especially where it's blending on top of that fuchsia. Here I'm seeing it just a little bit more bluish. And I can't resist explaining why it's also about reflected light. Anything that's outdoors in sunlight, it's going to have a blue sky. Obviously because the sun is out, therefore the sky is blue. So these surfaces that are facing upwards are catching that blue sky reflected light and creating more of a bluish cast. Now I don't want to put a blue in there, but I want to find something that is kind of, here I'll zoom in. That's kind of almost greenish right above her lip there. So I'm going to see about maybe this green that I had here, maybe that would work. It's a little dark, but if I'm going to layer this peachy pink on top. That might work just fine. So there's some of that there. Over here it looks a little more purpley, but I'm going to start with this anyway and see if I can make it work. And then this. So when I have a color that seems to work well in a painting, I kind of just run with it for a while and see how far I can take it. Oh, that's nice. That's a really nice value for that bit of reflected light under the chin. Right there. Yeah. Okay, so every now and then you got to step back and take a look at what's going on. This maybe could use a little bit of this over here. See, I used that right here and it didn't look so light. It didn't look so light because my underpainting was lighter there. And what's surrounding this over here is darker. So you get those kind of phenomenons when you're playing with color. And it can be fascinating and it can also be frustrating. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that and then go in with maybe this purple. I see more of this purple in this eyelid. Or maybe even in the eyebrow. I used to be the kind of artist way back. I used to be the kind that I would meticulously grid all of my drawings. And then I would go almost square by square and just finish the entire part. So I would like finish this entire eye, and then I would move over to this side and finish that entire eye, and then move to the nose and finish the nose. And oh, I don't know, that was just tedious. Way too tedious. I much prefer now just working all over. I kind of meander around and see what needs something. Oops, sorry. Shook my camera. I was seeing a little bit of this violet in this eyebrow. Working from photos, I also tend to get that little bit of a I almost call it a brain sickness, a color sickness, because I see so many different colors in a photo. The more I look at the photo, the more colors I see. So I really try to stick with like the few colors I have out here on my paper towel over here. If I need something new, I really try to look at those and see, well, will this one work or will this one work? Stuff that I have already used. Okay, there's a little bit, I want to start to get a little bit of hint of that other nostril. This is that first dark brown I was using. I might have that highlight of my underpainting in the wrong place. I'm going to get a little hint of that in. Oh, I made it too high. This one actually might be a little low. Let's see if I can tweak the positioning of her nose while I'm at it. There. Oh, that helped a little bit. And then some of this, maybe some of this fuchsia color under here. That's kind of dark, and then this is kind of dark here. So really, there's one secret to painting a portrait that seems really simple when you hear it, but it's the honest truth. And it's everything you see is just shapes and values. Shapes and values. And then beyond that, it's temperatures of colors And then beyond that, it's colors. So if you think of that, shapes, values, temperatures, colors. That's all you need to know, is how to recognize the shapes and the values of those shapes, the temperatures of those shapes, and then, you know, the color. Actually, the color is kind of, if you've got the first three, the color is like not important at all, because if you have the right value and the right temperature, it will work. Use a little bit more of this. Oh, that's nice. I didn't pull this out yet. This is kind of a very grayed down purpley color.
Purpley.
Yeah. I kind of am amused by how most pastelists color speak. We don't color speak like oil painters. We don't know the actual name of colors. We'll just kind of describe it in a general way. But this is kind of a purpley color, but it's very, very grayed down. But it'll look more vibrant when it's on top of this orangey color. I'm going to soften that a little bit. Then I'm seeing way over here, I'm seeing this sort of fuchsia again, this pinkish. There we go. And then way up there it gets kind of dark. So let me go back with this. This one, that shadow of the hat really just sort of blends right into the forehead right there. So make that much darker. See if it does that anywhere else. It kind of does that over here. So I'm taking, now that I've started to get a lot of these colors and stuff in here, honing in a little bit more and getting the values of these shadows of the, you know, where these shapes are a little bit darker. And so, you know, you don't even have to think about, don't think about eyes, nose, mouth, lips, you know, don't name anything, because if you've ever heard anything about drawing, it's the same. Drawing is the same way. To learn how to draw, it's better not to name anything, and just see the shapes, the edges, the values. So I'm just tweaking these shadowy parts as I'm going around. Part of my brain is dying to get into this hair, but I guess that would be a different demo. I'll try to stick with the face.
Yeah, okay.
I want to, I'm noticing that this corner of the mouth is just a little low, and I haven't done anything with it yet. Let's see if I can bring that up some. So I think the shadowy part would be some of this fuchsia. And before I do that, you know what, I am going to break out a little pastel pencil. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna break out a pastel pencil. Here's something that's reddish, kind of a dark red color. And I'm sort of seeing this in the, oh yeah, that's a nice color for these lips. And not just that one, but I think I might have to use something even darker for that edge of the, if I have something darker.
Hey, Rita.
Let's use black, yeah?
Here's an opportune time to take a quick break.
Okay.
All right, just put your pencil down and we will be right back with Rita Kirkman, and we're learning about skin tones today. So this is really good. Thank you so much, Rita. I'm Eric Rhodes, and we are here every weekday at 12 noon. We have been since way before COVID, or when COVID began, so over 5 years, and 40 billion views later. No, I think it was like, what is it, 17 million views? Wow, pretty cool. Anyway, we'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. Just go to YouTube and hit subscribe. Just look for Art School Live if you're watching on another platform, or if you're watching on YouTube, just go to Art School Live and hit the subscribe button. We'd appreciate that. And we have a free gift for you as well. And if you just go to this URL, just go to pasteltoday.com/ebook to get 45 painters from the pros. I am so excited because this is a really interesting time for me, right? So I have my son graduated college last Friday night. My daughter, same age, I have triplets, is graduating college this Saturday morning. So Saturday morning and then Sunday morning, the whole family, I'm taking the whole family this year. We're getting on an airplane. We're going to Reno. We're going to go to our hotel in Reno where we're holding the plein air convention. And then we'll be painting in Reno, Tahoe, Virginia City, and some other places. It's going to be spectacular. We have 80 top instructors who are going to work with you in the field, but also give you instruction from 5 different stages. That's called the plein air convention. And surprisingly, we still have some seats. Surprisingly, because usually it's sold out by now, but for some reason, we've still got a few. Not many, but a few. So we'd love for you to come. If you live anywhere within a day driving distance or 2 days driving distance, you don't want to miss this because we're not going to be in this region anytime soon. And it's spectacular. So come and paint with us in Lake Tahoe and Reno. It's going to be really, really wonderful. Okay. I've got a retreat coming up in June. It's called Paint the Adirondacks. And I basically get a bunch of people together and we paint. We stay together. We feed you everything one price. We just kind of hang out. We do music at night. We paint portraits at night. We paint 2 or 3 paintings all day long. We take you to all the places. We've already figured them out. I know the Adirondacks like the back of my hand. They're in upstate New York. And if you live anywhere within a day's drive or 2 days drive from there, it's worth it. We have people come from all over the world to come to these. And so that's at paintadirondacks.com. We have another one in the fall. If you can't make that one, come to Fall Color Week. That is going to be in Door County, Wisconsin, center of the country, up near Lake Michigan. It's really supposed to be beautiful. I've never been. I've been looking forward to my whole life, and I've heard about it my whole life, but they say it's just spectacular. It's like the Cape Cod of the Midwest, and that's fallcolorweek.com. Last but not least, there's so much going on. We try to be like Disney for artists or something, give you lots of things to do. I'm taking a very special group, a very small, very exclusive group of people to Switzerland with me. We're going to be painting throughout Switzerland, and we're going to be standing in the exact spots, maybe not within 1 inch, but we're going to the same places painted by Sargent, by Bierstadt, by Edgar Payne, by many of the great artists. And so we're going to be painting Switzerland, and then we're going to go to Lake Como in Italy, which is right on the edge of Switzerland. We're going to paint there. And then some of us are going to go on to Venice, Italy, and paint there for a few days. It's a high-end luxury trip. It's really a lifetime bucket list trip. And you should come. We only have a very few seats of that left, too. So go to pleinswitzerland.com. Now we're going to go back to Rita Kirkman because she is blowing us away with the shadows, shapes, and the colors in the shadows of a portrait. Okay, Rita, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Well, that makes it sound like I want to go to that plein air convention. I tell you, went to the first one. It was amazing.
Well, let's go. What's holding you back?
If I had time on my calendar for that one, I definitely would be there. Okay, let's see. We've got, let's try to see if I can lift that corner of this mouth a little bit. This is just a black Conte pencil. I just want to do that. And then I'm going to go in with this fuchsia color again and get that shadow there. And I've got, let's see, this is a brighter pink. I might be able to adjust the lip shape there. And then I'm going to take this. Actually, I think that was more of the bluish one. Let me try this one. This shadow here is more of this sort of purpley. That comes down a little bit here, and I want to try to start in this last half of the demo to get some of the connection between this light and the shadow going. The light right now is awfully yellow, and I do want it to retain that warmth, but it has a little bit more subtleties to it. Let's see. Try looking at value more than temperature here, I think. This is just some kind of, okay, I admit this is some kind of fleshy color, but there's something it's a little bit cooler than the yellow, and there is something a little bit cooler and kind of grayish going on in between these lights and shadows here, especially around that corner of the mouth and like over here. So I just wanted to dab a little bit of that in. See, I've already fixed the shape of the mouth there. And now this is a peachy orange. That's not doing anything. Like I said, I like to test my colors on my board. That one was too close to the same value as my underpainting. So
what are your views on using, Jim is asking, what are your views on using grays in skin tones?
Hey, you know, like the ones I just did, let me show you the couple of these. You know, these are gray colors. I would consider these to be grays. Now, probably won't use, I don't even know if I have one here, what you might call a perfect gray, like a cross between black and white. Here's a Rembrandt gray. I think it's a gray. It's hardly used. But you know, I look at this and I compare it to these other two, and it looks kind of greenish to me.
Same value.
So, you know, same value, yeah. So a lot can be done with the same value as something. What do I have over here? Like here's another gray. It might be the same color. But let's see if I can see. This actually might work in here somewhere. It's just all depends on the value. It's got to be the right value. I think it is too light for anywhere in the shadow. So I'm not actually going to use it in here. But it all just depends on the value. Like, see here on this white shirt, I might be able to just glaze some of this in here like this. I know we're talking about skin tones, but every color I learned from mind block. Okay, I learned from a very famous pastelist, Albert Handel. Every pastel stick has at least 2 colors in it, at least 2 colors, if not more. And it all depends on your pressure and what color is underneath it. Because you can press real hard and get the actual color of the stick out and visible, or you can press lightly and let whatever is underneath there show through, and it becomes a completely different color. You know, I can demonstrate over here on the board. Here's that gray color. Okay, that's the actual color of the stick. But if I do this, I have a different color. It's darker because this board is darker. So you can do that with any of them. Looking at this, and now I think I want to get, here's this more of a pinkish color here. I want to get a little bit more of this through the cheeks. I think they're a little bit more pink. Maybe even right here. This was a little bit lighter than this other one I was using. I think I was using this one in there. And where was I? I was on these areas. There is a pink, maybe. Here's some kind of grayish sort of pink. Actually, that's too blue. Look, it looks like a pink, like a fleshy pink, but I put it on here on top of that yellow, and it really grays it down. So I'll probably just have to go, I'm going to do something a little unusual here. Here's a bright yellow-orange, yellowy, really rich golden sort of yellow color.
Oh,
Put this in here instead. Along the edges of this. And here it is a slightly darker color than what I have on here already. And it's like a gold color. I mean, who would have thought? It's not exactly what I'm seeing in the photo, but it really helps to get that warmth of that sunlight on her skin right there. And how much time do I have left, Eric?
you have 3 hours and 27 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I'm gonna
No,
get
you
this
have,
done.
I would say I'm going to give you 10 max.
Okay. Okay. That's nice. All right. So I'm going to take a bright yellow, bright light yellow, maybe this one. This is a really intense yellow that's a very pale color. And I'm going to get this highlight on the nose, which was up here. On the photo, it's a little more pink, but I wanted to, for my own purposes, really exemplify the warmth of the light in this painting. So this is that little bit of a lighter value going on through here. And I'm getting, yes, I'm even putting this on the lip, this warm, but I want to really emphasize the warmth of this light. And I'm not putting it all over the place. I'm just really targeting where is this value that I'm seeing here. There is a slightly lighter value too that I kind of already had in this light whitish color, but this highlight comes right up next to that shadow right there, and that helps to shape that lip better. Oh, that's coming along. So you see, even though before I started working on these highlights today, I had some of these shadows in and they don't look quite finished, but since putting in a little more detail, a little better shape to these highlights, everything is starting to balance, and this looks like it's more finished than it looked just a minute ago, and I haven't even done anything to it.
So Rita, one of the things I've always been told is that a lot of people say that where dark meets light, there's the highest amount of chroma.
Yes, that is true. That is very true. And it's because, like, I like to liken it to looking out at a very green landscape on a cloudy day, like right after it rains. Think Ireland, maybe. No sun, it's just cloud cover, and you look out there, and all you see is the pure colors of everything. There's no sunlight to brighten things up and blow out all the highlights. There's no shadow to darken colors and obscure them. So you just see the pure colors. So what you're looking at right where the light turns into the shadow is the equivalent of that cloudy day. Huh. It's not in full sunlight and it's not in full shadow. It's right in between. Huh. And that's why you see the brightest colors right there. So I love that. I love thinking that. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is find this pink. Okay, talk about unusual flesh tone colors. This is a really bright pink. And I'm going to add some right here on these cheeks. And I am kind of almost seeing these colors in here in the photo.
You're going to be teaching on Pastel Live. We're excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. This work on this little portrait here is almost kind of some of my practice because I had not worked on a portrait like this in, gosh, a couple of years.
Well, we want to see,
thought
we want to see
better
it from see it from the beginning.
Yeah, you will. I hadn't decided yet if I was going to underpaint that one. I might just work on just a solid terracotta, which I did for many years on this series. I have a whole series of these Renaissance portraits that I've really enjoyed. So, oh, this might look good on this lip right here. There we go. And a little bit brighter here. This light bounces up there. So that's coming along. I might see a little bit of this up here. I'm going very light pressure now because I want this pink to kind of blend in with that green that I already have up there, to sort of tone it down. I thought that green was looking just a little bit too zombie-ish. So since red is the complement of green, and complements neutralize each other, to combine reds and greens works really nicely. Okay, now something around some of these lids gets a little darker. Now I know you work basically dark to light when you're working pastels, but there are exceptions. There are always exceptions. I think what I'm going to do now is go to the pastel pencils. I like to do this at the very end. Not quite, I probably would have a little bit more work here to do, but I wanted to show you guys how I do some blending with a pastel pencil. And I'm going to find something that's kind of the same values as what I have going on in there, but to use okay. Here I have a green, and you think, wow, that's a bright green. It is kind of, and here I have kind of an orangey color. Okay, this might be called a fleshy color, but it's more of an orange, it's more of like a mineral orange or something, I guess. But the important thing is that they're just about the same values as what I have going on inside the shadow areas. And I'm going to take each of these, and I'm going to use them as blenders. And since this is a little bit lighter than some of these areas, and a little bit darker than some of the areas, I'm going to try not to use them where I don't need, I don't want to get something a little too light, and I don't want to get something a little too dark. So I'm sort of using them where those different values meet. And this is doing a little bit of a subtle softening while not really changing colors too much.
Yeah. Well, that really helps with the blending, doesn't it?
Yeah, pastel pencils are really awesome for that. And I'm using a light touch too. I even like how her lips don't really have a firm edge. They just kind of blend, they just kind of like blur up into where the skin is there. Especially here on the edge. Go. That's another reason. Here's a different tip, a little off topic, but I love using photos that are low res. Like if I zoom in here, you literally cannot see any eyelashes. You can't see a lot of detail, but the light in the photo is such that you can see the nice shapes of the different values.
It's like squinting.
Yes, it's like squinting. Exactly. Okay, there's something up here that's actually a little more greenish. I'm going to use this green pencil up here.
Nice. Well, we're going to bring this in for a landing, Rita.
Okay.
Well, you come on back on screen.
Got some progress made there.
Oh, you did. You made great progress. That's pretty incredible that you can do that in such a short period of time. It would take me 4 times that much time, maybe 10 times that much time.
So, sometimes it does take me that much time too.
So we want to encourage everybody to get to know Rita, visit her website, check her out on social media. We've put all of that in the links in the chat. We hope you do that. And Rita, we're going to see you on Pastel Live coming up this fall. So we're very excited about it. September 17th through 19th, some of the top pastel artists in the world are going to be teaching all kinds of subjects and styles and approaches. And you should come. It's really amazing. Okay, guys, thank you so much, Rita. Thank you so much. And we're glad you were here today. Make sure to check us out. Subscribe to this channel by going to YouTube. Look up Art School Live or my name, Eric Rhodes. And we'll see you there. We're here every weekday at 12 noon. There's a little bell. If you click on that, that will make sure that you get notified when we go live. All right. Thanks again for being here. Thanks again to Rita. We will see you at the plein air convention next week. Bye-bye.